Welcome to our first ever Google Hangout. One Life Fully Lived. We hope you're going to have a great time and learn a lot here. Before we get in the meat of this program, which is all about your 2015 goal setting, I want to talk to you just for a minute about a few upcoming things we have coming for you in 2015 for One Life Fully Lived. First of all, we're going to have our second Google Hangout on Tuesday, January 13th at 4 p.m. and that's all about creating your dream and vision for your life. So tune in for that. We're going to have some special guests for you. Mark on your calendar, January 13th, 4 p.m. Also, we have our first ever East Coast Conference, May 16th and 17th, and we do have, you can register for that right now on our website, and we're working on some cool things with other mediums on the online community, such as podcasts. So we got some great, exciting things coming in 2015, and we're very excited to share them. And this is a new one for us. As you know, we've only done webinars in the past, and you're going to love this format. It's much more interactive. As a matter of fact, we want your questions along the line, and there is a way to ask questions. Andy, what do they do? Oh, just type to the right and we'll see your questions, and at the end of this we'll get to them, okay? And by the way, when I ask Andy, that's my 20-year-old son. I am candidly pretty useless tech-wise, and Andy is the brains of the outfit. So what are you going to do? So the first slide I have for you is what my presentation is all about, and that is how to dream, plan, and implement your magnificent future. And Andy, so do I click on that? Okay, so bear with me here. You can see this is, I'm living a dream, you guys. I'm living an incredible life right now, but I got to tell you, it wasn't always like that. I want to take you back to 1997, and candidly, I was in a bad place. Real estate had been down, and there's a picture of me. I was 25 pounds overweight. I was chain smoking cigarettes. I had an unprofitable business. And have you ever been in one of those places where you're like mad as heck and you're not going to take it anymore? That's where I was in 1997. And I'm sure some of you can relate to that. Maybe a few of you find yourself in that place right now. And I just want to tell you, as Tony Robbins says, your past doesn't equal your future. And when I was in that bad place, at the height of my despair, I wrote my dream. And in that dream, this is, you can see this was handwritten. I wrote, and by the way, in the top right it says, dream on, dream until your dreams come true, Aerosmith, 1975. Music fulfills my life. But in this vision, I saw myself living up in the mountains, looking out at a spectacular view. And if you see me looking out, it's because I now enjoy a spectacular view. I also saw, next slide, Andy, I saw me living in our dream home. I saw me skiing magnificent peaks like that one you see on the lower left. I saw me running an adventure travel business. And I saw me giving back and helping others find their way. And you know that piece has come true with One Life Fully Lived. And that was the dream I envisioned in this candidly pretty bad place where I wasn't living my dream. And today we're going to talk about how do you go from having a dream or vision to implementing that dream. And I'm just going to show you an overview of what I did, and then Brandy, Matt, and Zach are going to break it down for you and go a lot deeper into all of this. So just as an overview, these are the things I did to go from a dream or a vision to a concrete plan of accomplishing my dream. The first thing I did is I wrote out a 5-year and a 10-year vision of what my life would be like. Then I wrote out a 1-year business and life plan of how am I going to make the money to accomplish my dream. And we broke it down into a monthly plan. We wrote that on the end of every month. On the start of every week, I wrote out and critiqued the last week's plan and wrote out the next week's plan. And every day either late at night or first thing in the morning, I wrote out, what am I going to get done this day? I followed my net worth and cash flow, and every quarter we wrote out a net worth and cash flow growth plan. I wrote out a business growth plan. I knew if, how can I put this? If your wheel of life doesn't roll solidly down the road, then it's really hard to accomplish big things. So I needed to be solid in all areas of my life. So I did a personal rating on the 7 areas of balance and a growth plan for my weaker areas. We analyzed what our 1997 income would be, and I looked at what would my new life look like after the transition. And I know this sounds like a lot of work, but it's not something, you know, you sit down and knock out in one thing. And like I said, the others here are going to help me break that down more with you of what their plans look like and what they do on a daily, monthly, weekly, and annual basis. And the last one I want to leave you with is I was just on a call with my good friends David Osborne and Rock Thomas, and they had some really solid information on goal setting and what you should do when you write your goals. And we'll be happy to get you guys a copy of this if you'd like, or anything I have, you're welcome to a copy of, and I'm sure the others would say the same. So first of all, a goal versus an intention. An intention is kind of like a mindset or a thought process. A goal is specific. And with that, this one pretty much sums it up. It's a SMART goal. Specific, meaningful, actionable, realistic, and time-bound. And that comes from Dale Carnegie, by the way. Authenticity and alignment. Say what you mean to do and do what you say. Don't go laying out lofty goals you know you're not going to hit. Put out reasonable goals that are a stretch, and then go after them with everything you have. Mm-hmm. You'll find, if this is new to you, goal setting is a journey. It's not a process, and you'll find you get better and better, and I think you're going to see that with what Zach did with his here today. You can't improve on what you do not measure, and that goes back to having specific, measurable goals. My good friend Byron McBroom says, what you measure, you can manage. And I love this thought right here. We define goals not only for ourselves, but for those who are important in our lives. The journey of achieving our goals defines how we evolve and who we become. So in other words, one of the great things about goal setting is it makes you become the person that you'll ultimately become by attaining the outcomes that you lay out for you. So that's my piece of this today, you guys. It's kind of an overview, macro view of how, you know, I went from a crappy place, candidly, in 1997 to living the life of my dreams in 2005. 8 short years of hard work, intentionful, mindful living, and that's a huge word in all of this, is becoming mindful of who you are today, where you're going, and how you're going to get there. So with that, I'm going to pass the torch on to my good friend Brandy Salazar, and she's going to break this down more into how to go about your goals and intentions.
Hi, everybody. Well, very similar to Tim, and excuse my throat, I'm experiencing some allergies, and today hasn't been a great day for that. Similar to Tim, I have experienced a lot of frustration in my journey, and the thing that I had naturally was a little bit of a type A personality. So even though it's taken me a long time to learn how to dream, I was able at a fairly young age to come up with a system to achieve goals. And so what I'm sharing with you today are some of my most simple formats that I use to set goals, or that I use to help people that are in the beginning stages of setting goals come to things that they can do on a daily basis, weekly basis, and monthly basis to achieve what they would really like to see happen in their lives. So we're going to start with the first page that was sent to you in the PDFs. And I'm going to share my screen with you. The first one is the evaluation sheet. So the purpose of this evaluation sheet is to be able to look at some of, it's not sharing, I'm just gonna talk through it. You all have the sheets. So the purpose of this sheet is to start with your wins and look at each area of your life, and if you have more categories that you want to evaluate, which I evaluate more. Tim obviously said that he evaluates 7 areas. We wanted to keep this simple for today's exercise, but look at your wins. What are you doing well in your areas so that you know what to continue to do in 2015, but that you, in the second phase, start to see what you feel like you're missing. And like I wrote here on the example, I'm not doing as much cardio as I would like. The key to this tool is that you then get to use this as measurable goals. How frequently do you want to do cardio? And we'll move into that into the action plan. So step 2 is where I really learned how to dream, and I really like that Tim talked about his 5-year vision and his 10-year vision. And a lot of times it's difficult for us to really look and say, what is it that I really do want, especially when you're stuck in a rut and you're in a bit of a lull. And when you take the moment to really get inside yourself and say, you know what, this is the type of life I want. I want to be really healthy. I want to feel energetic, and whatever that may be for you. Like, I want to feel energetic. I want to feel healthy. And I want to be excited when I wake up in the morning. And you know, there's so many things for me that my health comes into play, that it affects all the other areas of my life. So this is a big area for me. That's why I use it as the example. And again, as you start to put the dream aspect into place on top of what you are doing well in your life and what you want more of, take the dream part of it, and this is really what cultivates the foundation for our action plan for the year. So let's go to the next step, which is the action plan. And I'm going to see if I can share this one with you right now. Bear with me.
There. Cool. There we go.
Guys, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So in this top section, these are the things like I had just said about cardio. Cardio in my life 5 times a week. So calculate that into how many times you want it in a year. So say that you've decided to 2, so you want it 210 times that year. So take it across the board and take the things that you want to add to your life. You can even use some of the things that have been going well in your life that you want to keep as a component of your life and on your radar. And the next phase of this is to then take that goal and say, let's take the cardio again, for example. So if you need to have cardio in your routine 2 times a week, and you have 5 weeks out of the year, so you need to do it 10 times that month. So you then break it down and put it in your monthly goal. And so if you see one of the things that just happened here, instead of me saying I want to do cardio, I said 52 times a year or 110 times a year, so that you can break it down so you know on week 1 of January 1st, you know how many times you need to schedule that in. And one of the other tools that I use that I haven't shared here, which I shared in my class at One Life, is a weekly planner. And it takes it into a time blocking from what you do on a weekly basis, taking this sheet and breaking it down into your daily activities, which is your time blocking, which that's something that I can share on the One Life Facebook page if anyone's interested in taking it to the next level. So the next sheet is the 5-year letter, which I think that, Tim, I think you did a great job touching on that. That really is, you wave your magic wand. What does your life look like in 5 years? It's this sheet. Let me go back to getting off of this. And then your next sheet is, oh, did it do that thing again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is tricky.
Yeah.
It's my internet connection. You can still hear me though.
Yes.
Let me see if I can stop this.
Yep.
There we go. Okay, so the next sheet is your bucket list. We all know what that is, and I think it's really important. Sometimes you're doing your bucket list before your 5-year vision. It gives you an ability to pull in some of the things into your 5-year vision that really matter to you. And then your joy list is something that my sister came up with because she's my heart-centered friend, and joy lists are things that so many people, when they're in a struggling space in life, like you think a bucket list and you're like, I can't go to Germany this year, or it's such a lofty goal that it causes some frustration. But you know what? There are so many things in life that we all individually care about that cost nothing. And like I always use the example of watching the clouds with my kids, or puddle jumping, and if you can put on your radar the things that matter to you that you can do anytime with no money, and you're either in a lull and you can jump to your list. A friend of mine puts hers on her fridge, and her kids get to pick from it. But that you can look at that list and then incorporate those things into your weekly time blocking, or your monthly time blocking, or your daily time blocking, and saying, you know what, it is important for me to do one item on my joy list a week, or one item on my joy list a day, whatever that means to you. But I think that a joy list is something that is a really important tool for me to use, that I use with my kids. My kids love it, and especially as a working mom, it really brings you back to what matters. So that's to wrap it up. We'll be able to do some questions at the end, and Tim, back to you.
Okay, so what we're going to do here is have Brandy. Why don't you put up on the screen this is Zach Martinez down below. Zach is 19 years old. He's our model of just starting out with all this goal setting, and we're going to pick on Zach a bit, and we're going to show you what he originally sent to Brandy when we asked him to send his goals, and we were really vague about it, okay? And candidly, this is what most people do when they first start goal setting. They just write a lineal list of all the things they want to do. And Zach, bless your heart, this list is long, and we kind of blew it up. You just have the top of the list so you get an idea. But you can see there's no rhyme or reason for his list. It's just kind of things that came to his mind, top of mind things. And that's not unusual when you first start. And Brandy, I would like you to show Zach over a what was it, a 30-minute phone call, and go over what he sent you next, and what was good and what needed work, and then where it ended up. Okay?
Okay, so can you see the sheet, the action plan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so the action plan, Zach, can you see your action plan?
Yeah, my old one or my new one?
Your old one.
Yeah, I have them all right here.
Tim, can you guys see it on the screen?
Yeah, we see the first
I
yellow tab sheet he sent over to you.
Yeah, this one. No, not the yellow tab, the action plan.
No, that we do not see. We see goals 2015.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me do this again.
And by the way, Zach, I don't mean to pick on you, that you did a great job as far as laying out what your intentions and stuff are, but we purposely didn't give you any instruction, just to see what you'd come up with, and you did a great job of coming up with a detailed list. But as we're going to see, what you came up with after the third try was obviously much more in-depth.
Yes, exactly. I agree.
Okay, so it doesn't seem to be, my screens aren't sharing. I don't know what's happening.
Oh, that's so too bad.
I know, and it's such a good sheet. But anyway, I can walk you through it because you guys have the sheets. I think it's going to come up here in a second. So anyway, on his first draft of his action plan, he had broken down that list. So let's start with number one. He made a magnificent list, and he really was able to dream and put a lot of things on there that mattered to him. And so let's just take his business career, for example. He wrote in that first box, become a great realtor, make more money than I was at the golf course, and have great connections with both Nevada and California realtors. Zach, why don't you tell me a little bit, tell the audience a little bit about our call and what that turned into for you.
Yeah, exactly. So when Brandy gave me a call, and as Tim said, I just kind of went through it, the seat of my pants, and I just went for it, and I was really broad, and there was no really way of really seeing that it was achieved. So on the phone with Brandy, we kind of broke it down and just, what does it mean to become a great realtor? Well, how much money did I make at the golf course, and how much would I have to make to succeed that? So we did that, and basically just laid out a map instead of more of just a broad goals.
So what we turned it into is on his annual goals, we turned it into, he kept become a great realtor because that really does matter to him, but he wants to net $50,000 and find a great real estate mentor, meet with 10 of the best realtors in Nevada and 15 of the top realtors in California, which that takes me back to the example that I was using of the cardio, where those are measurable. We know what he needs to do, or will help him get to the place of what he needs to do in the first month of his year to get to 50,000 and meet 10 of the best realtors and so on. So then we took it, once we have a measurable goal, we're able to then take it into what that monthly goal looks like. And so what happened is we gave him action items for his first month. So for his first month, he's setting a meeting with a Nevada agent and a California agent, talking to 2 people that he trusts to recommend brokerages. And by the end of the month, he's going to choose his brokerage that he's going to sign with. So taking that into his weekly, we can now say that on week 1, he's going to make a list of all of the brokerages in the area. Week 2, he's able to meet with the brokerages in the area. Week 3, he's going to ask 3 people that he trusts their thoughts after his findings. And then on week 4, he's going to call me and Tim. And then on the end of the week, he's going to talk about, or he's going to pick a brokerage to sign with. So taking that become a great realtor, we were able to break it down into starting his real estate career. And by the end of January, he now knows what it's going to take to get him to signing with a real estate company. And by month 2, we're going to really dive into that 50,000 number and say, okay, if you want to make $50,000 a year, what's your average price point? What is the average commission in your area? And then we break it down to how many calls does he need to make on Monday when he comes in? How many calls does he need to make on Tuesday? And find out how many deals he needs to make a month to be able to hit that 50,000. And I have a really good feeling that he's going to hit it.
Thank you.
I really do. So it was a really great experience to be able to walk you through that, Zach. And I love using you as an example because you really took those beginning steps and you took the part that a lot of people struggle with, and it's the dreaming part. And these tools, especially now that you know to make them measurable, you can break it down as long as you can get that dreaming part down. So great job.
Thank you so much, Brandy and Tim.
Absolutely.
And Matt, everyone. Yeah, like you said, dreaming was the easy part, but actually, plotting it out and making it achievable for me was fantastic. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
You're gonna rock it out, man. You're well on the path, and they always say a goal without a plan is just a wish. So, kind of like Tim was saying, hey, we're picking on you. Everybody starts somewhere, but the fact that you're actually writing it down and taking action towards even creating a plan around it, that's more than 97% of people out there do. And I'll get into that a little bit more in my topic, but you're already light years ahead of what most people will even do. Is people don't even write them down. So you started out with, you know, the vision. You're dreaming it. You're going to plan it now, and then like Tim's doing, you're going to live it. So that's awesome, and kudos to you.
Thank
And,
you. Thank you,
and
Coach.
what's so neat is to see him at 19 years old starting on this journey. And I'm sure there's people listening to this going, wow, man, I'm so far behind the game. I'm 57 and I'm just starting all of this. You guys, wherever you are, I said it earlier, your past doesn't equal your future, and it doesn't matter where you start. It's just getting in the game and playing your game full out. This game is not against anybody else. It's Zach Martinez playing Zach Martinez's hand full out, and that's what One Life Fully Lives all about. So
I think you touched on a really good point, Tim,
Zach.
too. And you really can't compare your insides to other people's outsides. And too many people, Brandy's goals, Zach's goals, Tim's goals, my goals, whoever it may be, don't compare your goals to other people's goals. Make them important to you, and don't base your accomplishments off of what other people are doing or what they may look like on the outside, because they may be extremely unhappy too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who are extremely successful, but necessarily aren't living a fully lived life and feel fulfilled on a daily basis. So make sure you make your goals important and personal to you first, and don't base them off of what you think other people want to see. Just have them be authentic, be vulnerable with yourself, and lay it out, and it'll be pretty fun to see what comes of it.
Yeah.
That's great, Matt. Okay, Zach, do you have anything to add, or Brandy, or do we want to jump into Matt?
No, I think I'm good. That was, yeah, it was great job, Zach.
Yeah,
Thank you.
great
Thank you,
job,
guys.
Zach. You really did come a long way with that, and we can tell you're just going to learn and grow from here. So, all right, Matt Aitchison, it's up to you. First of all, I want to introduce Matt. He's 26 years old, you guys, and this young man is on fire. He's created an incredible life for himself, and you're going to see that with his goals. He does a great job with them. And I think he's something we can all kind of strive to get to. And candidly, even at 26, I used him as the model for, quote, well on his way. So take it away, Matt.
Cool, Timmy. Well, thanks for having me on. I am, to be honest, I'm humbled to be on this, because I was in Zach's shoes, you know, not too long ago, and just by being exposed to this kind of stuff has really changed my life. So Brandy and I actually mastermind a lot on this all the time. Is, you know, you don't know what you don't know. There's so many things in life that unless you're given the tools or the resources to go out and do something different, and obviously it falls within you as a human being to go out and take action and want something different. But you know, it's cool that we have this community to do this kind of stuff. So I want to thank you, Tim, for putting this on. I think it's really cool. And to give you one quick insight, I would say one of my goals this year is to find a sweater vest as cool as the one you were wearing in your presentation, because that was pretty rad.
Yeah.
That's great.
So I'm going to kind of share some of my goals with you guys, and I'm going to actually share a little bit of a spreadsheet of some of my personal goals, so you guys will get to see kind of some of the stuff that I'm using in order to track my own goals and what that looks like. And I want to start by saying that goal setting is, I heard this quote and I just loved it, is goal setting is all about a crock pot mentality and not a microwave mentality. And the microwave mentality is we always want to map something out real quick, and then we're expecting to open that door, and 5 minutes later, boom, it's there, we get it. Right. And you really have to come from the mindset of, let me commit to this process, and let me, you know, marinate these goals in this crock pot. And that vision that Tim did 10 years ago is now his yummy little supper that he gets to enjoy on a daily basis. So it's something I struggle with too on a daily basis. Is everybody, when the fast-paced life that we live, we want that microwave instant, you know, gratification, and just understanding that hey, it's a crock pot. Commit to this process and things will happen. I think that kind of changed things a little bit for me on how I looked at my goal setting. So I always start with the question for people is just, have you set clear written goals for your future and made a plan to accomplish them? So that's obviously why we're here, right? So there was this awesome study that actually they did on Harvard master's students getting their MBA, and it was an extremely powerful study. These are obviously Harvard, one of the toughest schools to get in. People are living and studying and committed to higher education at, the highest possible level you could actually, do it at. So they asked a question of, why do 3% of Harvard MBA grads make 10 times as much as 97% of the other graduates combined? So you're thinking of this collaborative group who's extremely intelligent, and the 3% of that group is making 10 times more than the other 97% combined. And I thought that was astounding. And so they found that after doing this study, 84% had no specific goals at all. So absolutely no specific goals. Out of that 100% of people, that pool, 84% of them didn't even write down goals. I mean, that's just, insane to think that people at that level, obviously they have goals, but they haven't written them down. They haven't even thought about them. 13% of the people who took the poll out of the 100% had goals, but were not committed to tracking them on paper. So that leaves the last 3% had very clear written goals and plans to accomplish them. So if you look at the bigger picture is, well, obviously I want to be in the 3% of these people that are hitting and accomplishing the goals. So they went back 10 years later, and the 13% who had goals but necessarily weren't on paper and tracking them, they were earning 2 times as much as the 84%. So that's great. I mean, they were obviously accomplishing something, and the statistics showed that just by having the goals down on paper, they were already 2 times more likely to be that far ahead than everybody else in that pack. Then they looked at the 3% who had the clear goals and had written them down, had tracking, accountability, and they were earning on average 10 times more than the entire collective group. So I just thought that was such a powerful study to think, why aren't we doing this? If Harvard graduate students who are holding themselves to the highest level of accountability for their education, but they're not doing it for their financial freedom or well-being, there's something to be seen in that. So I'm gonna switch over to kind of my personal goals and show you a little bit about how I'm doing things, how I'm tracking things, and I wrote a little quote down in the One Life community today was, if you don't have time to write down your goals, then where are you going to find time to accomplish them? And I thought that was extremely powerful, that if you don't have the commitment to yourself and the life that you want to live and the things that you want to enjoy and accomplish, if you're not committed to even writing those down, then what are you training your mind, your body, your ability to go out and believe in what you can do if you're not even writing them down? So it just starts with just writing them down, and it aligns perfectly with One Life's mission statement, which is dream it, live it, plan it, live it. And right now, I think a lot of you already have that dream that's within you. Now it's time to start planning it, and soon enough, you'll all be living it. And it's a current mission for me to continue improving my life, and it starts with this stuff. So let me share a little bit about. I'm just going to use one specific example, and I'll share a few different things with you guys. Can everybody see my screen? Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so this is I have this spreadsheet down here. I'm not sure if you guys can see, but I have it broken down into categories where one page is family, growth and education, spiritual and mental wellness. Then I have it, physical fitness, health, my financial goals, genuine contribution goals. I have books that I read last year, books that I want to read this year, and I'm constantly updating these lists. And I have it all in one place, so I'm not going to 10 different areas to really get what I need. So I have, and I'm just going to share the overall spreadsheet with you guys, and I'll kind of back up and go through one category with you on how I, would go about tracking it. And so for my completed new books to read, I have these sections, right? So my reading goals are broken down next year into what spiritual books are on the top of my list, what real estate books are on the top of my list, what leadership books are on the top of my list, communication books, business books, financial, and then I have a section down here for wildcard books, because throughout the year, there's books that come up that are exciting, and I want to, throw on the list, maybe take one or two out. And this is the one thing I want people to remind too. Actually, David Osborne's the one who shared this with me, is we write down goals and then we think that we are 100%, those are etched in stone. They just don't change. And there will be times throughout the entire year that probably a third of the goals that I've written up on here will change. And that's okay. Just make the adjustment for it and make the plan a little bit different to supplement those changes in your original goal setting and get right back to it. So a lot of these books are some of these are gonna fall off. Some may not be as important to me based off of some experience that I had in quarter 1, and I'm more interested in some new communication books that come up. I don't know. So that's kind of how I go about the goal setting. Is you really got to get intentional about breaking it down. And Timmy, you talked about it earlier, was the SMART system for get specific, make it measurable, make it attainable, make it relevant to what you're doing, and put a time limit on when you're going to complete that by. So I got real specific on these are the books that I'd like to read. There's hundreds, there's a bunch of them. However, let me break it down into the 25 books that I need to hit my goal and talk about what categories they're in, and then I can kind of figure out how I want to go about that. And you can break down into, January, February, March, quarterly. I'm going to go through here, which I haven't done yet, and highlight what's my what are my, quarterly. If we're talking about I want to read 25 books next year and we have 4 quarters, that means I need to read a little over 6 books a month. So I'm going to highlight my first 6 books that I want to read in the first quarter, and I'm going to track those. Then I have another spreadsheet for the second quarter, which is April, May, June. So you got to break it up into chunks, but you got to start with the overall vision. So going back to, let's just go with the physical fitness and in health. Give me one second here. Okay. Okay. So what I got here is I have a weekly rhythm register, and I have my yearly goals. So this is my yearly goals, which is basically those yearly goals are broken up into my first quarter. So you can see there's January, February, and March. So I've gotten very specific for my physical health. I want to do 26,000 push-ups this year, which is basically 100 push-ups 5 days a week. So I take that over, and I've put this broken down into my weekly tracking system, and I have this every Monday. I print out a new sheet, and I make sure that what's on my weekly sheet is going to help me hit my quarterly goals, which is going to help me eventually hit my annual goals. So 26,000 push-ups, 100 times 5 days a week. So you look down here, I have 100 push-ups 5 days a week, and that allows me to track. If I do it on Monday, awesome, I get to track that for Monday. If I didn't do it on Tuesday, well, then I leave that blank. If I didn't do it on Wednesday, okay. If I did 200 on Thursday, then I'm gonna track that. By the end of the week, I can track that. Say, hey, I did my 5 for the week. I can go back and I can track it into my quarterly goals, so I can constantly update each week. So it takes some commitment to go back and follow and track all this stuff. However, you're training your mind, and you're training. They say it takes 66 days to create a habit. So by doing this for 66 days, I don't have to remind myself of doing it anymore. I just pop in there every single day, morning and evening, and I move back to tracking it. And now it's just a habit for me. It's something that is a part of Matt Aitchison's day. And this allows me to not only know exactly what I need to go about doing on a daily basis, but now I'm holding myself accountable to a new level, and I'm able to track and see what kind of progress am I making, and if I'm, like what Brandy said, what's working. I mean, let's celebrate the wins. I did awesome this week, and I drank 4 cups of tea, and I only I only did 1 cup of coffee this week. Or I can say, you know what, I didn't run at all this week. What do I need to do next week in order to remake that commitment to making sure that I'm going to hit my goal and run a half marathon with Marie this year? So that means I need to run 104 miles. Well, next week I guess I'm going to have to kick it into gear and run 6. So by not having this tracking, we're truly not keeping ourselves accountable to it. And that's the awesome thing, is once you start with all this stuff on paper, now you're going to be able to share your goals internally with yourself. And then what I encourage you to do is when you're starting to track these things, share it with somebody else. Find yourself an accountability partner. And there's extreme power in sharing this stuff, because there's one thing, if I'm setting my alarm and I'm saying, you know what, I'm going to go to the gym today at 4 a.m. If I'm going by myself, I'll be the first to admit, I look over at my alarm clock, I press snooze, and I don't go to the gym that day. But if I say, you know what, Timmy, you and I were meeting at the gym 3 days a week, and we're meeting there at 4 a.m., you best believe that I will be getting there, because it may not be for myself as much as I don't want to get my butt out of bed, but I don't want to let Tim down. So by sharing the goals with other people, that's half the battle too, is you got to let other people in and be a little bit vulnerable on holding yourself accountable to achieving these things. So these are just some of my personal goals in my tracking. I can go through some other stuff. So here's I set all my yearly goals for my business, and I lay out my yearly goals for my business. I also do and I track all this stuff in one place, right? So video goals for creating social media videos, or if my one sheet is kind of a grouped sheet with a lot of the business and personal goals that I've broken down into tracking income and tracking past goals that were great, upcoming goals, bucket list items, kind of stuff that Brandy said, the top categories that I track. What are things that I need to be held accountable with, or what are things that I need help with? So having this kind of stuff is important to have it laid out, because if you don't have it, then it's just like a goal without a wish is a plan. A goal without a plan is just a wish. And if you don't have time to write down your goals, then where are you going to find time to accomplish them? And I didn't have any of these techniques given to me. I'm sorry, I didn't create any of these techniques. I learned these from other people who were doing and living life at an extremely high level. And it's cool to be able to share this stuff with other people, because if you really want to commit to that kind of living, it's really not that hard. And there's all these tools that we have right in front of us to go out and live that passionate life, dream that passionate life, plan that passionate life, and just go out and do it. And by being a part of this community and having the opportunity to map out what that looks like for you, and there's plenty of people, I'd be one included, if you want some accountability or someone to look at your goals, post in the One Life page, and you will have plenty of accountability partners there rooting you on, cheering you on, and giving you potentially some advice on things that you could maybe do a little bit better, kind of like what Zach did. Tim and Brandy broke it down for him, and they gave him a little bit more clarity on some of the action steps that he needs to go out, do, and make 2015 a rockin' year. And this is a journey. So this is my crockpot vision. It continues to change and really take form differently each quarter, and I'm excited that I got to share a little bit of that with you guys today.
Thank you.
Awesome job, Matt. Yeah. So you guys saw different levels of goal setting. Some of us are just beginning, some of us are way more advanced, and wherever you are on your own personal journey, we do want you to get better at this, and the One Life community is where we do that. Excuse me, Osborne! Sorry about that. One Life community is where we do that, and as a matter of fact, we're going to start a new contest starting January 1st. Some of you have been part of the Do Something Physical Daily contest. Andy, if you could show them on the screen. This is, I call it Tim versus Tim on my perfect day. And Andy, can you bring that up, please?
It's up. It's up. Yep.
Oh, never mind. All right, so this is for January, this is a sample of what my Tim versus Tim perfect day will be, and then can you show the more broken down one, Andy? So this is what each day looks like. I have 8 things on my day. I want to get up before 6 a.m. I want to meditate. I want to work out a minimum of 30 minutes. I want to journal or write content towards material I'm writing. I want to eat right. I want to have 2 hours of dollar productive activity. I want to do something quality time with my wife, Tina, and 20 contacts, either make phone calls or work on something in my future. If I do all of these every day, it's what I call a perfect day. And this is my perfect day. Yours would be way different. Maybe you have 3 items. Maybe you have 16. That's a lot. But what we want all of us to come up with is Zach versus Zach, Brandy versus Brandy, Matt versus Matt. What is your perfect day? And Brandy and I have talked about this. Of course, you have a perfect day that's different on your day off, or if you're on vacation than a work day. And I know that's a challenge, but so we're gonna go. I'm starting the new year off Tim versus Tim on January 1st. I'm gonna try for 8 out of 8. I call a good day 5 or 6 out of 8, candidly, but each one of those are things that are important in my life. These are my roadmaps. These are the things that let me know I'm on the Tim Road Highway, if that makes sense. Okay. So anyway, I'll be happy to get you guys a copy of mine, and I want you to come up with yours. And in January, we're starting Zach Martinez versus Zach Martinez, John Henry Johnson versus John Henry Johnson, Mary Jones versus Mary Jones. Each of us plays our game full out. And so does anybody have any questions or comments on things we went over on the panel? We did have a few questions, and I'm going to ask those as soon as we're done. Okay, we're going to wrap this up in a few, but I would like to ask both Matt and Brandy, I got these questions. When exactly do you plan, and what rewards and penalties do you have for getting your goals done or not achieving them? When do you plan, rewards, and penalties? If you could answer those pretty quick, and then let's wrap this up.
I can answer the first part. I don't give myself penalties, but I plan prior to the beginning of the year, so I've been in plan mode this entire last quarter. I'm getting really specific and intentional right now. I hope to have it all done within Christmas week. That's kind of the week that I take because everything shuts down to really put it all in place. And Maddie and I meet weekly to go over them and briefly readjust, check in with each other, hold each other accountable. And monthly, I reevaluate. And quarterly, I do a big reevaluation, and it's almost like kind of resetting your goals, what's working, what's not working, and then reset for the next quarter. So those sheets that Matt just showed you, we'll go through and change those at least quarterly, if not monthly, depending on what's going on.
So your major recalibration is done quarterly? Quarterly,
yes.
Yep. How often do you look at your goals?
Every morning, every day.
Wow. Yeah, so that was one thing that I didn't touch on, but I thought was extremely important to you gotta keep them in front of you every day. It's awesome and extremely important to write them down, but if you're not looking at them and you're not really committed to doing the tracking piece of them, then you're only going to get so far with them. So I have a journal actually. And I look at my goals every single day, and I don't know if you guys can see it, but this is my personal goals, and it's my all the different goals that I have on there. So not only do I have the tracking piece on my computer, but I have the journal with me. I like something tangible, so that's just a personal preference for me. But it allows me to take those goals with me everywhere. And I think there was a statistic out there: if you look at your goals 50 plus times, you're 80% more likely throughout the year to achieve them. So that's important. And also to touch on what you talked about, Tim, was the whole penalty thing. Absolutely, I think it's important to have that accountability piece, which is why Brandy and I meet each week and we talk about, hey, well, why didn't you do that? So it kind of that's somewhat of a penalty of knowing that you're letting not only yourself down, but letting somebody else down that you committed to. But I always just think of, if I didn't do something, my motto is, if you erase, you replace. So if I didn't do something that week that was on my goal sheet, well, then where am I going to replace that in the following week to make up for it and get back on track? So that's just kind of a little motto that I live by. If you erase, you replace it.
Nice. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to wrap this up. And the best line of the whole webinar in my mind was, let's not microwave our goals. Let's crock pot them so they have time to marinate. I just thought that was brilliant. And the other major thoughts, I think, are find either somebody or a group to hold you accountable, and we'd love for One Life Fully Lived to be part of that group. And let's all write our goals, be mindful of them, and have an incredible 2015 and play our contest, your Tim versus Tim, Brandy versus Brandy, and let's all play our games full out. We sincerely thank you for being on this, our first ever Google Hangout, and we look forward to seeing you all next month, and make plans to be in Philly in May.
Rock on.
Bye, guys.
Thanks all.
Bye, guys.
Night, night, night.